34? 34? I think we're just about ready to go there. There's usually a little delay before when we go live to YouTube actually making that happen. And I can see we're coming up. All right. Hey, welcome. Mark here from Whole Latte Love. Today we're going to talk about how to get the perfect puck. I'm not talking about the hockey kind. I'm talking about the coffee kind. So we're going to look at some tools. We're going to look at Tampers. We're going to look at levelers and distributors. We'll talk briefly about grinders because that's how you get the coffee into your filter basket. And I'll cover what you can do, if you've got more of an entry-level style grinder that produces some clumps when you're grinding at espresso sizes. When I do some tamping, leveling without tamping, and distributing and then tamping, I'll take those pucks, knock them out so you can get a good look at them. Oh, let me just make sure my sound's down here. That's kind of weird. Okay, there we go. So you can compare those. So we'll put them out right here so you can get a look at the differences. And we'll also talk about some filter baskets. If you want a good puck, you want to put it in a good basket. Not all baskets are created equal. And the same goes for tamping tools. I'll have some tips on what to look for in those. Again, I'll cover my technique for using a leveler without tamping and show you how that works and show you how it's just as good as tamping. And we'll take a look at a really high-end tool that's a distributor and tamper that you use as a pair. Then it's on to how to treat your puck. I got a couple tips like that. So once you got a really nice puck in your filter basket, you want to give it some nice treatment when you go to extract your espresso. So we will talk about that as well. Now, and if I have some time, I can take some live questions. We do have off-site moderators. So we've got Ed, Nick, and AJ off-site who can answer your questions during the stream. They may throw me one or two in time allowing. I can answer those. Or you can always use the comments right here live or after the fact. I pay really close attention to those, and I love giving detailed answers and helping people out. Now, we continue to do the social distancing thing here, so I'm kind of under the gun all by myself, except for my wife.
Hello, everyone.
That's Tracy. A quick shout out to my three beautiful daughters, their boyfriends and one husband. And the oldest one with a husband gave me my grandson Levi about a year and a half. It's a great age. I wish I could be spending more time with him right now. But with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So espresso, it's all about consistency, right? And having a perfect puck is part of that. If you get a perfect puck, then you can work with other variables and not even think about that anymore. So your goals are a well-distributed, clump-free grind before you do anything to it, then the same compression for every extraction. So how you get there? Now, it used to be they'd say 30 pounds of force for tamping. I think if you just give it a firm compression, you're good. I think it's far more important just to be consistent with whatever pressure you're using, and I'll show you some ways to get there. And you also want to have that tamp be perfectly flat and parallel to the top ridge of your filter basket, and there's some really easy ways to do that. But let's start with a couple of grinders. Now I've got two very different models here. Over here I've got the Chiato E37S. You've been watching my streams or other videos. This is one of my favorite grinders. This is a full-on commercial grinder that people will put in their homes. We've got them in a few cafes locally that use them commercially. It is NSF rated, 83 millimeters. Then I've got something else. If you're just getting into espresso, maybe your first grinder, more of an appliance grade. This is a Breville Smart Grinder. Very different grinders. But I do want to show you, so let's take a quick look, and I want to show you how lovely the Chiato grinds. It centers really nice into a portafilter, and I'm going to bring this up here so you can really get a look at it. It's a beautiful, fluffy, clump-free grind. Absolutely gorgeous. So that's that, and it's really fast. So I ground I think I had about 20 grams in there, 4.2 seconds. But let's say you're just getting into espresso and you got something more like the Smart Grinder here from Breville. That's fine. Problem is, at espresso sizes, grinders like these, the more entry-level ones, tend to be kind of clumpy. So if you got something like this, or maybe a Rancilio Rocky or something like that, they tend to be a little clumpy, but there's a way you can deal with that. So let's take a look. Now, little different sound here using this guy. and a lot more time. The burrs in this are far smaller than in the Chiato. And I'm about good. And I don't know what the time was, but if you look at this, we do have a fair amount. Let me get that out of the way. I hate a dirty work area. Some clumping there. So how might you deal with that? Well, one really cool way to deal with that is I've got a couple of dosing cups from Akaya here. They make some really high-end scales when you get into like doing brew ratios and stuff. So you can get rid of those clumps. So nice thing about both of these cups is they fit right over a 58 millimeter filter basket. So you could dump that out if you grounded that, or you could just grind straight into this cup if you wanted to. And then you could take that, give it a shake around, get rid of those clumps, and then put that back in your portafilter really easily. And now we got rid of all of those clumps and we're ready to go. So that's one way to deal with it if you're getting a clumpy grind, because you don't want to compress the clumps. And I'll talk more about why that is. You want nice distribution of coffee into a portafilter. So that's one way if you're working with a lower end grinder to get rid of some of those clumps. But now let's go to tamping. So I've got a bunch of different tampers here. I'm going to grind into this, and notice I'm using bottomless portafilters here. Good reason for that is they're a great learning tool when you go to extract espresso. So I'm going to grind with the Chiato here. Again, really nice, fluffy, well-distributed grind. Might have a little too much in there, but that's okay. So, you know, you'd see baristas doing this a lot, you know, like getting their filters in there. I'm just going to swipe this just a little bit. Oh, no, you know what? I do want to leave it a lot because I do want to demonstrate something in a minute here. Oh, you know what? I used the wrong one. I wanted to do this. Sorry. I'm going to use this port. So this has a stock basket in it. I'm going to grind into this one. So do that again, but again, really nice distribution, and that's half the battle, is just getting a nice distribution of coffee into your portafilter. So I like that. Now, I'm going to go to tamp. So for a long time, I used a tamper like this. This is an Espro calibrated tamper. I happen to use a convex one. This is flat. I stopped that about 5 years ago. But these are nice, and I've got another one just like it here. This is a calibrated tamper. This one happens to be an ECM. But when you press on these, they give. So you know that you're getting the same pressure once you kind of hit bottom. So I'll use the Espro here. And so I could smooth this out a little bit with my finger if I'm tamping, just get a nice surface to start with, and then go in. The problem with tampers is you have to be perfectly straight all the time, especially if you're going to something like this. This happens to have a little convex to it. I don't really like this tamper because I like a tamper I get my fingers to the base so I can kind of help keep it straight. But I'm going to purposely, you know, do a little tilt here just so you can see what the puck is going to look like. So, oh, and there's all kinds of techniques here as far as doing like a 12-6-3-9 sort of move to kind of pre-compress the coffee a little bit. But I'm going to just do it like I failed, okay? So I'm going in here and giving it the little tamp. And I'm going to knock this puck out here and try and get it to stay in one piece. And now if you get a good look at that, you can see that I have a spot over here that's much shallower than the spot over here. So what's going to happen is water is going to travel at different rates. The brew water is going to travel at different rates through my puck. And that's a problem. It's going to give me an uneven extraction, and I don't want that. I want the water to go through the puck, through all areas of the puck all at the same time. Something else to notice in here, I was using a stock basket, and that's why I wanted to redo this, is the little, and I'll show you the basket here. It's got that little angle down towards the bottom. Those kind of always bothered me. I always wondered what happened with an extraction. Now, I can't get inside the filter basket during extraction, but I always wondered what the flow rates were like that. So I've gone to using mostly Barista Pro baskets. I've got a couple here, and you notice these are different. They are flat-walled all the way down to the bottom. These also have much nicer holes. If you really took a microscope to these and looked at the holes are much rounder. There's also a very particular pattern with these, but it doesn't have that angle in. So I like those straight walls. I want all my water to go through the puck in all areas at the same time. So now let's go. So that's tamping. That's what can happen. Now look, if you want to tamp, that's fine. It does take some skill and some practice to always be getting it right. And Frankly, I don't have the patience for that. I want to have a consistent puck every time. So about 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago, I've been using this. And this is the Jack Leveler. I'll give you a good look at this. So it's got these 4 blades here. So when you spin this in the coffee, it distributes the coffee and it also compresses it. It compresses it enough, and I'm going to prove this to you, that you do not need to tamp afterwards. You certainly can if you want to, and I'm not saying don't, and plenty of people will. And when I use the Bravo system, you'll see we're going to distribute and then tamp. This is adjustable, so the depth of this can be adjusted, but I want to show you my technique for using this. So it's got these little clicks, and then it's got some markings on the edge here. I'll put this up close so we can get a look. It's got these little markings so you can see where you were. What I usually do is just put it all the way out, all the way down, and I find if I use most baskets, if I fill that basket with coffee and then use the leveler, I'm going to get the proper compression. But if I'm not, I'll see maybe a little mark in the surface of the coffee. I can adjust it. So let me go. Let's see. I'm going to grind into this one. Again, I'm using the bottomless here. I'm going to fill this level and then show you how I use the leveler here. Again, with this grinder, it's beautiful. I am just going to get this down because I want to keep the same dose in this basket as I do in the next one when I use the Bravo here, just so I can demonstrate something. So with this, I've got it all the way down, so I'm just going to set it. Oh, one other thing, whenever you're, and these are very precise, so the actual size of this, and I had the digital calipers out earlier, is 58.5 millimeters. When you get into these higher end tools, they tend to be just a hair larger because you want a really nice seal with the basket, and that's what you get. So they have to be clean when you use these tools. So all I do is just go in there and spin it clockwise. And that is distributing the coffee in there, and it's also compressing it. When I pull these, you don't want to pull them out real quick, or you can create a suction because they do fit really well. But now what I got, so whenever I'm done using one of these, I just take my fingers here because any little remnants of coffee, ground coffee on here, can cause it to bind up next time. So that's something to keep in mind with this and the next system we'll be looking at. So I am going to knock this puck out and try and keep it in one piece. And it came out in one nice piece. But you can see in comparison to the tamped, and again, I purposely didn't tamp well, I have an absolutely perfect puck right there. And also notice I don't have that ridge that I had from the stock basket. It's pretty much straight down, just a slight indentation at the end there. But that's a really nice puck. So that's the Jack Leveler, 58.5 millimeters. And it fits very well in, and I'm using these Barista Pro baskets. I've measured these, and they're like 58.8. So if you're saying, hey Mark, I want to get the leveler, but it says it's 58.5, and my basket's 58, that's fine. That's what you want. So that's that system. Now let's go over and we're going to take a look at this one. And so this is the Bravo. It's a distributor and tamper. The distributor here, unlike the Jack, doesn't really compress your coffee. We'll talk about why that is. I've talked a lot with Danilo Lodi. He's a WBC judge, I think, since 2011. He trains hundreds of baristas all over the place. Happens to also be a coffee pro for Dalla Corte, and he just loves the consistency of the system. If you want perfect distribution every time and a perfect tamp every time. Now, this is an expensive tool, but it's worth the money if you just want no questions asked. So let's take a look at this. So first, here is the distributor. And you can notice, so that goes right up in, and it's got like a pneumatic cylinder in here. So when you let it go, this just drops down. And it's not going to, it's a little different than the Jack where this actually compressed the coffee. This is just going to distribute it. Now you can change how quick this drops. And, I've been told that, if you're working in as a professional barista and you want it to drop faster, because it drops a little slow. So if you're working fast, you can take out these, so you can have it like this, or you take out 1, 2, or 3 to have it drop faster. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to grind into here. Oh, you know what? I want to do this. So I tamped with this one here. I leveled with that one here. We're going to get another puck here. So I'm going to grind again into a bottomless. Really great tool for appraising your extractions. And this basket is just a hair bigger than the other one. I think this is a true triple. And I was using a 20 gram for this puck. So there we are. So how this works. Oh, another thing about, so with levelers and the tamper we'll look at and the distributor here, they all have this ridge here. So it always is going to be parallel when you set it in the filter basket. So you don't have to worry about the angles and such. So to use this, all I'm going to do is just set it on top of the coffee. And what you do with this, with the Bravo here, is you spin once, well not once, you spin clockwise. And this pushes the coffee out to the edge, okay? And then when I go counterclockwise, it brings it all back in and makes it perfectly smooth. And again, it's just the weight of that metal piece there that's resting on the coffee, so it's not really compressing it much. So do that, and I should take that off of there more gently because they do fit well. And again, make sure these are clean when you're done with them. And then this is, I happen to be showing this with the wood, so this is the tamper, and this is, again, has that ridge. So when you go to tamp, it's always going to be perfectly straight. You can't get unlevel with this. And this also has a pressure setting to it. And the range is, I believe, 24 to 36 pounds. You can adjust it. So you take off the top here, and there's a little hex head in there, and for each 1 millimeter turn, you adjust by 2.5 pounds. Again, I don't focus on hitting 30 pounds. I just focus on being consistent. But you can adjust this to whatever you want between 24 and 36 pounds. So to tamper this, incredibly easy. You can set it on, and you don't have to worry about angle because it won't go sideways. So when I press down, it gives, and again, that pressure is adjustable, and I get a nice, beautiful tamp. I'm going to knock this puck out, try and keep it in one piece. And there you go. So you can see I had the same coffee dose using the jack leveler and the Bravo tamper here. And it may be hard to see in the camera, but they should be exactly the same height. I mean, once you compress something so much, you can only compress it so much more. Again, if you're going really light, you might get a little taller. But the idea here is that the jack leveler here, which does fine distribution and tamping all in one, you get lots of consistency here, but it definitely tamps. These, again, the same amount of coffee in both of these pucks. It's really consistent. Again, if you want top of the line, the best tool, best distribution, no question, the Bravo distributor here and their tamper here. Again, those edges, I just love them because you can't get off kilter. You're not going to end up with a puck that looks like that. Again, if you like to tamp, go for it. It just takes practice and a little bit of skill. So those are some of the tools. I'm going to leave this up here just so we can keep a look at that. There are other tools like these available. For instance, I have a distributor here. This is from ECM, and you will see some like this. So that's a distributing tool only. It's got a little different shape to it. So you spin this into your coffee to make sure it's distributed properly. These are adjustable, although the adjustment works a little different. You loosen this knob here, turn it in to get the depth you want, and then they have the tamping tool here. And again, this is adjustable too, and it has that same idea where this ridge contacts the outside of your basket, so you can't help but being perfectly parallel to the edges of the top of the filter basket. There are other ones available, and I know there are, cheaper, you might call them a knockoff leveler or that. They tend to be made of aluminum. They tend not to have really good sizing, so a lot of times you'll end up with a little extra coffee around the edge. But I really do, and I think quality tools are really worth it. So you've got a great puck. Now, how do you treat it well, right? Well, over here, and I'm not going to pull a shot today, I just want to do a demonstration. What I want you to do is, if you have a machine right now, this happens to be a Profitec Pro 700 with flow control. I'll be doing a really cool flow profile with us on Thursday, working with a coffee that's just 7 days from roast and high altitude. But if you have a machine like this, I want you to go over it, and I want you to do this, and I want you to look at how the water comes out of the shower screen. So what I'm getting here, and it may be a little hard to see this far back, but I'm getting a nice distribution of water all across. Imagine my coffee puck in there. If you look at most machines with a stock basket, what you're going to get is a single stream of water very quickly. And let me show you the difference. So what I have up here is an IMS Nanotech shower screen, which I'll show you here. That's that. And then this is the stock shower screen that I took out of there. And the big difference here is this is an actual screen right here. So it catches coffee particles, it gets skunked up with oils. And you know, it takes a lot of cleaning. And also with the stock shower screens, again, you're probably going to end up with that one single stream of water. When that one single stream of water hits just one part of the puck to start, that part of the puck is going to extract differently than the rest of the puck that didn't get, you know, water until you had more pressure build up. Over here with the IMS Nanotech screen, which is, whoops, up in there, there's no screen on the outside. There's a quartz coating on here. That's the nanotech part. It's not nanoparticles. It's the nanotech is how they get the quartz coating on here. Think of it as like a really high-end non-stick pan. These things clean up beautifully and give that really, really nice distribution of water onto your coffee. One other thing about treating your coffee nice once it gets in there, make sure you're using a proper dose for the filter basket you're working, because when you extract the shot, take it out, look at your puck. What you don't want to see is an impression of your shower screen in that puck, because what's going to be happening then, especially with the stock baskets, is it's going to be forcing water into just certain spots on your puck, and that's going to lead to maybe some channeling and that kind of thing. So if you see an impression of a shower screen in your coffee puck, you need a bigger basket or a lower coffee dose. And again, I really like these nanotech baskets. We've got them available in doubles from 15 gram average up to 22, I believe. And they're even available in singles. I've talked about those before, but they're just my favorites. They happen to have, like this one has the nanotech coating as well. As you can sort of see in the nanotech ones, you get the that little rainbow effect, which must be the light dispersing through the quartz coating, but they clean up so nice. Like on these, you know, a lot of times, you know, you want to go up there and, you know, brush your group off with these. I'm not going to burn myself, but you can literally wipe them down with a rag and they're clean. They're absolutely beautiful. So let's see. So talked about how to treat your puck. Again, if you're seeing an impression of a shower screen, less coffee or a deeper basket. So yeah, oh, and the bottomless portafilters. Now, again, I'm not going to pull a shot. I pulled plenty of bottomless shots here, but these are a great tool. So when you're extracting an espresso, what you want to do is watch the bottom of your filter basket here, and you want to see the coffee develop from all areas of the basket equally, and you want to see all areas of the basket involved, and you generally want it to come to a single stream in the center of the basket. That's going to let you know that you're getting a nice even extraction through the whole bed of coffee. So if you see blank spots, or if you get the spurts are water that's making its way through the coffee easier than in other areas, so it'll give you a little spurt. If you see blank areas, no brew water is getting through in that area of the coffee puck. So you're going to get a very uneven extraction. So it's really a way to appraise your extraction by just watching it happen. And of course, they're beautiful as well. So that kind of covers things. Again, we went through tamping, the jack leveler, which I've been using for a couple of years, the Bravo distribution tool, and tamper here, which is just top of the line stuff if you want it perfect every time. I think, do we have some time for some questions?
We do have some time for questions. Why would you use two tools when you can only use one?
Oh, I get a question from the audience. The one person in the audience had a question. So this is just if you want to be, so the Bravo distributor, right? It does that two-way distribution. So you spin it clockwise to start, and then you spin it counterclockwise, and that so it spreads the coffee out and then spreads it back in, but leaves you with a very smooth surface. But because it's just the weight of the metal that's on here that's going on coffee, it's really not compressing it to the extent you need. So then you use the second tool, the tamper, which again is calibrated, so that you're always going to get the exact same compression of the coffee. So thanks for the question, honey. Let me see if we've got any here. What would the priority be? This is from George Michael Varus. I hope I'm getting that good. What would the priority be between getting a distributor and getting a better filter basket? That's a good one. I'd say get both at the same time so you can really see a difference in your extractions. Personally, if you're happy with the basket you're using, I might try the distributor first and then, see what's happening. I've always just been a little suspect of the way that the stock baskets have the angles in towards the bottom. I also don't like if you take a close look at the back of these as opposed to the back of one of the Barista Pro baskets, if you can sort of see the difference in the hole structure there. The holes, you really got to look close, like get under a microscope, but the holes are just way more symmetrical in these sorts of basket. I think in these, they kind of punch them through, and then that's why there's grind marks in here. They have to grind out the remnants to get them. But the holes are just different. I like a nice circular hole, and if you really look at one close, you can definitely see the difference. But you know, if you think you have a distribution issue, you know, maybe if you have a grinder that, you know, is a little clumpy or something, a distributor certainly can help you out. So I hope that helps, George. I don't see any other questions coming, and we're at 25 minutes, which is where I start to go. I did want to just plug Thursday at 1. I'll be using, again, a 7-day from roast. This is Finca El Mango. This is a Costa Rican coffee, 7 days from roast. I'm going to run a flow profile. What happens with these coffees is this is a full honey process. Grown at 1,500 meters. What happens with these high altitude, really fresh coffees is they tend to be very bright. And this one should have, you know, nice fruit flavors in it. And what happens when you brew them really, really fresh is they tend to, you tend to get the brightness, the acidity out of it, and which covers up all, doing a really long, slow pre-infusion, and then kind of a more gentle extraction and berry flavors in there. But with flow control, you can really tone that brightness down. It's amazing. I've loved hearing from people who have the flow controls and have been doing some really amazing things with those coffees. In fact, I'm going to be doing a bunch of different profiles over the coming couple of weeks using flow control, so that's really cool. Again, if you have any questions, you know, you're watching this after the fact, I do monitor those comments. I do love to give detailed answers. Of course, if you have questions right now, like what filter basket should I get for my machine, or can I get one of the IMS shower screens or something like that, we have coffee pros. They're all former baristas. They're all trained on all the products and machines. You can call them right now. You know, the contact info is down, but I'll just throw out the number. It's 585-924-7170. They are working remotely as well, but have full access to all the information you might need and can help you get the right products that are going to work with the machine you have or you want to get. So until Thursday at 1, thanks for joining me. I've had a lot of fun doing this. Please, everyone, stay safe. Again, I'm Mark from Whole Latte Love, and I hope you'll come on back soon for more of the best on everything coffee. Of course, brought to you by Whole Latte Love. Thanks for watching.